from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, May 2nd. So today the moon is going to be moving out of this Taurus energy that of course gave us our new moon in Taurus, our solar eclipse energy that is kind of still swirling, but now that we are moving into this Gemini energy, we're going to feel that energy kind of drop off, which isn't a bad thing. It's been very heavy, very weighted. Of course, we're waiting for the moon to appear back in the night sky in order to shine a light on where it is that we are going to move forward from here. So the moon does go void, of course, around 6:13 a.m., of course, Eastern Standard Time, and locks into Gemini energy just before 7 a.m. So a very short amount of time that the moon is going to be void, which is a good thing because things get shaky and unstable and uncertain during the void moon. And of course, any time that we're moving from the moon in Taurus energy, in Earth energy, to Gemini in air energy, things get lighter, things get brighter. Things get a little bit more social, but we also have a lot of pressure building in our mental plane. That Gemini energy, of course, rules over the mental plane, information, details, how it is that we see certain perspectives, and of course, how it is that we are expressing ourselves. Because the moon is our emotions, is our unconscious self, and our intuition. We are definitely going to be popping off with some aha moments, some moments of clarity, some moments of insight while the moon moves through this Gemini energy. So there are 9 different aspects taking place here today. 6 of them involve the moon, and we have to keep in mind that Venus is moving out of Pisces, moving into Aries energy. If you haven't listened to the astro forecast that I put out for this or the May energy forecast, I'm going to recommend you do so. You may as well put the ascension forecast for this week on the list as well. Jam-packed full of information, full of details on what it is that we can expect not only taking place in our inner realms, but in our outer realms as well. So to kick the day off, we have the moon still in Taurus energy, sextiling, which is a beautiful energy, with Jupiter. Jupiter is the great magnifier showing us where it is that we need to push the boundaries of our growth, where it is that we need to expand our heart space, expand our mind space, expand our experiences in order for us to reach the next level of enlightenment. The moon in Taurus, as you know, is very, very grounded, very focused in the here and now, very much dependent on old attachments, on what is old, what is familiar, and very connected to our physical realm, our physical senses. Having the moon bump into Jupiter in this way, that just wants to show us where it is that we need to grow out of certain routines, certain relationships, certain ways of thinking, certain money matter situations. We are definitely going to have an aha moment, so to speak, on the path moving forward. This new moon eclipse energy, like I said, very chaotic, very confusing, very heavy, very weighted. But this particular aspect is kind of illuminating the fact that, you know what, we are almost a little bit more comfortable now to take those blinders off and just see what the possibilities could be for our future selves if we just kind of take our head out of the sand, if we just stop relying on our physical circumstances to dictate what is possible for us in the future, and just kind of connect to our higher self, to connect to that dream, to connect to that vision, and just kind of allow that energy to blend in with the egoic energy that the Taurus energy has us rooted in. The moon goes ahead and trines Pluto. A trine is a beautiful energy. And of course, Pluto, the great transformer, is now retrograde. We have all of this inner workings, inner reprocessing to do. Pluto's retrograde. Again, if you haven't listened to the astro forecast, please go do so. But Pluto's retrograde is making us turn inward to really examine where it is that we're blocking ourselves, where it is that we're sabotaging ourselves, where it is that we have prayers that we won't get out of the way of in order for those prayers to actually manifest. So the moon in Taurus bumping into Pluto in this way, which is a very positive aspect for us, is kind of speaking to the fact that guess what? We recognize where we've been stuck in a rut, where it is that we've been hoping and praying for our circumstances to change, but we haven't been doing anything in our physical realms in order to align with that. And having this aha moment shifts our inner realm, our psyche, our heart space. Finally, we have this aha moment of clarity where it is we got to get out of our own way, where it is that we've been pouring time and energy into creating this beautiful dream, this beautiful vision in our inner realms, and where it is that we have done absolutely no work in building or creating or even cleaning out a space in our physical realms to have those types of elements actually be birthed and rooted in, anchored in into our physical lives. So this is going to be a huge shift in perception, in understanding where it is that our fixation on sticking to the old, sticking to old what is tried, tested, and true is preventing the new elements that we've been wishing and praying for to actually take form in our physical realms. Venus, still very much in Pisces. This is her kind of last aspect, I will say, her major aspect, if you will, while still in Pisces. Venus goes ahead and semi-squares Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. He likes to shock us. He likes to disrupt our inner realm, our outer realm, in order for us to see a brand new perspective. He also likes to kind of accelerate the changes taking place within and in our outer realms in order for us to easily change. And Venus preparing to enter into Aries energy means that she's at the final degrees of Pisces. Pisces is very overwhelming at those final degrees. It's because we're wrapping up these life lessons. And yes, Venus has done her time in Pisces trying to dream up, conjure up a brand new vision, a brand new self-worth, a brand new kind of goal for herself in her own self-worth, in her money matters, in her relationship matters. And the semi-square is a little bit of a tension point because it's almost like Uranus is saying, wake up, Venus. You're almost done with this Piscean energy. You've had your head stuck in the sand. You've gone out of your way to ignore the signs, the symbols that have been thrown at you. Yes, you've been overwhelmed emotionally and mentally. And yes, you've been pushed to the brink where you just want to numb yourself. But this is no time to crawl under a rock and just hibernate. This is a time for you to wake up and understand where it is that you need to take your power back, where it is that you are the creator of your reality. This is a pretty good pep talk, seeing as Venus is about to jump into Aries. And if you listen to the astro forecast about Venus moving into Aries, a lot of this is going to connect. A lot of this is going to make a lot more sense. Bottom line, Venus needs to wake the hell up. She needs to stop running away and she needs to start running toward the elements that need to change. And this sign from the Great Awakener, from Uranus himself, is going to create an overwhelming amount of confusion, amount of anxiety and restlessness within us at this particular time of the day in order to prepare us to make that shift into Aries energy. The moon, still very much in Taurus, is going to semi-square, create a tension point with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. Yes, he exposes our wounds, but he also shows us how we're going to heal them. But this semi-square is a tension point because, again, many of us need to feel that squeeze in order for us to realize what absolutely has to change. And the moon in Taurus, again, being very kind of comfortable in the rut that we've gotten ourselves in, now realizing that, you know what? Sticking to what is old, tried, tested, and true might be comfortable because it's easier to predict and it's a lot more familiar. But now we're becoming aware of how uncomfortable it actually is to not see any change. And again, after the earlier kind of pop off with Pluto here, there's this huge illumination taking place in our inner realms where it is that we are blocking our blessings. We are preventing the changes from actually taking place and moving forward. And so the moon in Taurus right now, semi-squaring with Chiron, is going to illuminate for us those wounds. And we have to take a good look at those wounds, where it is that we're afraid of change, where it is that we're afraid of love, afraid of getting what it is that we want. And you might be rolling your eyes right now. You might even be speaking out and saying, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Give me all that I'm praying for. Let me tell you, sometimes the scariest thing in life is getting exactly what it is that we asked for. because it requires us to be a version of ourselves that we haven't met yet. And that is probably the scariest change that we could ever face, is recognizing that we aren't the version of ourselves that we need to be to receive some of these prayers and blessings that we have been trying to manifest. So this is going to illuminate that wound. And that wound is going to be wide open within us, really kind of making us a little bit unstable in our emotional field. And the moon is going to go ahead and sextile Venus at the time that the moon is preparing to go void. So this is the last aspect that the moon in Taurus is going to make with Venus, who rules over Taurus, mind you, who is at the crisis degree in the 29th degree of Pisces, preparing to move into Aries energy. So let me just say, at this particular point, we're almost having a realization within ourselves where it is that we're about to be bossing up in big ways. We almost feel the anticipation, the anxiety building up. We can't even put our finger on what's happening within, but we know that we are prepared to do something different. And we feel the energy dynamic of that building up. And that's a great place to be at, because we're getting a little bit more clear on what it is that we want, need, and desire emotionally, for our safety, for our security within our own self-worth, our own self-esteem, and in the relationship dynamics that have gotten a little bit ugly as of late. We are recognizing, because of course, we're in Taurus season, so Venus is still very much in charge. We had the new moon in Taurus that Venus ruled over. 2 weeks ago, we had the full moon in Libra that Venus ruled over. We're in May now, the vibration of 5, which is heart-centered. So you best believe that we are on the precipice of making some very dramatic shifts in our lives throughout the month of May. That's why I encourage you to follow up on May's energy forecast and be prepared for the topsy-turvy energy that we're going to deal with, whether we like it or not. So at this point, the moon is now void, making its way into Gemini energy, locking into Gemini energy, 6:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't have any aspects taking place for approximately, I'm going to say maybe 5-ish hours, from like 6 in the morning till about 11-ish. And the very first aspect that kind of gets made is with the moon now in Gemini. So at this point, we're definitely feeling that shift. Things are lighter, things are brighter. We're more curious. We're in our heads, and the moon is going to go ahead and conjunct, sit next to Mercury. Mercury rules over Gemini energy. Mercury just moved into Gemini energy on the 29th, just hours after Pluto went retrograde, just hours before the new moon Taurus solar eclipse took place. This is a big deal because anytime that the moon in a certain sign runs into the ruler of that sign, we are definitely seeing a contrast or an alignment. Now, the moon in Gemini, conjunct, sitting next to, teaming up with Mercury in Gemini, is likely going to provide us a whole lot of nervous energy. Now, this doesn't have to be a bad nervous energy, because the anticipation of something big, something shifting, is definitely stirring within us. But this is an opportunity for us to get very clear on our heart and our head. The moon, of course, the heart, Mercury, of course, the head. And this can be a conflict, right? An opposition, a tension point, realizing how far away we are from getting our heart and our head on the same page. Or it could be an alignment, bringing that heart and that head energy closer together to get on the same page. Either way, we are going to feel a little bit jittery, maybe semi-manic. We do have a lot of pressure building in our headspace. We are just jumping all over the place right now, which, you know, in comparison to the heavy energy that we've been into, is a welcome change, but you just have to kind of mind your energy a little bit better. This is also putting us in a situation, Gemini energy, very social anyways, but Mercury also rules over expressing ourselves. And we have a lot to say. We've been biting our tongues on many different topics and themes for a lot of reasons, a lot due to the Piscean energy that the stellium was in last week, because that's a passive aggressive type of energy. And speaking of passive aggressive type of energy, around 12:11 p.m., so midday Eastern Standard Time, we have Venus moving into Aries. The reason why I say passive aggressive, because she's been passive aggressive in Piscean energy, biting her tongue, running away from the truth, fantasizing and imagining a reality that is not true. And now in Aries energy, again, I'm going to recommend that you listen to the astro forecast. We're direct. We are not looking back. We are straightforward. We are blunt. We have no problem speaking out. We have no problem saying it how it is. We have no problem speaking the truth and spitting fire as long as it's coming from our heart space. And it's going to be a very magical dynamic from now until the 28th, watching Venus really pop off and stand up for herself and aggress herself in a way that she's only been dreaming and fantasizing about, and seeing what it is that she's able to initiate in this very, very short time frame. So we go from like noon till about 8 p.m. with no aspects taking place in the sky, just us kind of sitting with it, adjusting to it. And the moon at that time goes ahead and bumps into Neptune. This is a very positive aspect because Neptune, of course, is in Pisces, in Neptune's place of power. The moon is in Gemini, so we're very curious. We have an open mind. We're kind of processing the details, the information bumping around in our headspace. But Neptune is also connecting us to our higher self, to our soul self, to our intuition, to our dreams, to our creativity. And this is a beautiful energy for us to channel into the lower level intellect and into our heart space that Mercury and Gemini energy rule over, because it means that we get to take this vision, this magic from our highest self, from our inner realms. We get to bring it down into the physical realm of our ego, of our mental plane, and actually start applying some logic and practicality to it. Start asking the deep-seated questions that need to be answered on how it is that we're going to, strategically put into place some plans, some goals that we need to achieve in order to actually manifest this dream and this vision that we're highly inspired to pursue at this time. But we do kind of get a little bit of a funk because, of course, we're going to wrap the day up late in the day, bedtime for many of us, with Mars semi-squaring Pluto. Now, this particular energy is probably the lowest point of the day, I will be honest. Mars, of course, the ruler of physical energy, of drive, of passion, of desire, of anger, still in Piscean energy, so passive aggressive, not making as much, action and productivity as we would like to see. Very stuck into the inner realm. We're waiting for an intuitive insight. We're waiting for an inspiration to take over. And the semi-square is a tension point with Pluto, of course, the great transformer, who is retrograde, trying to show us where it is that we feel blocked, where it is that we feel held back, where it is that maybe we're blocking ourselves and holding ourselves back. But this is frustration because we don't feel like we have any power. We don't feel like we have any control. And of course, that's a natural disposition to have because we are in eclipse season. Eclipse season means that we are at the mercy of the divine script playing out. We don't have as much control over our physical realms as we would like to think. And we're in retrograde season, which means that we're in review. We're in revision. We're in re-editing, revisiting things from the past. We're not actually exerting ourselves very much in the here and now in a futuristic goal or dream type of sense. We're kind of stunted out right now. That being said, if you did listen to May's energy forecast, you would know that Mars will be moving into Aries, into its place of power later on in May, and we will see us making up for quote unquote lost time. But this Mars and Pluto energy bumping together can create some frustration, some irritability. Like I said, it doesn't feel good to realize that we're not in control, that we have no control. We can become obsessed right now with what it is that we either are frustrated about, or the dreams and the inspirations that we want to see come true that we can't take an action on right now. It is a very heavy, weighted, agitated type of energy that, after the ups and downs of the day anyways, that have been mostly on the positive side of the spectrum, we can definitely maybe go into dream state with a little bit of funk. Maybe we can expect some night terrors, some nightmares, some not so happy topics and themes pop up in our dreamscape in order to symbolize to us where it is that we don't feel in control, where it is that we are fixated, semi-obsessed about certain aspects that we don't have control of in our lives. Pay attention to what comes up in your dreamscape. It is very, very revealing. That is the unconscious, subconscious self trying to give us hints and clues that our awakening conscious self in our day-to-day life aren't able to piece together in the way that our, subconscious can. So we definitely want to pay attention to how we're ending the day off, feeling that energy shift, and of course, preparing for a brand new day on Tuesday.